Hi guys, welcome back to another week of Snippets of Knowledge. As you might recall, last week was all about seeing the reality which lies within. We touched on the idea that if there is a creator who is in charge of creation, then it stands to reason that they are forever creating. And because of this, at any given moment, we have the ability to feel this creative energy all around us and see it within everything. As I also mentioned last week, I'm reading a book called The Yoga Aphorisms of Patanjali, and this week I wanted to talk about the idea of the ego, which is quite a big topic in itself. So, let's get started. So, to start with, what is the ego? Well, to me at least, the ego is who we identify as. It is this false perception that we have about ourselves. The ego is that thing that our minds identify with. It is that little voice that we latch onto that says, I am smart, or I am right. It represents our false sense of self and is created across many years through cumulative experiences. You may recognize its presence if you are talking to someone and they say something that you disagree with or something that you deem to be disrespectful, as it feels like there's just a fire which burns up inside you. Or you may hear it when you're shying away from doing something because you hear a little voice that says, I can't do this. When you stop to think, who is this I that you are referring to? Where did your ideas about this I come from? What made you decide one day to adopt any particular characteristic? If you stop to think, you will realize that these traits from which you have derived your identity are largely rooted deep in your subconscious as a result of past experiences. For example, when growing up, if you had just one bad experience, public speaking, you may now identify as somebody who is bad at public speaking, when in reality, you just had one bad experience as a child, didn't know how to work through the emotions or situations, and as a result, adopted the manner of, I am not good at this. When you think about it, how silly is that? In the words of Patanjali, when an event or object in the external world is recorded by the senses, a thought wave is raised in the mind. The ego sense identifies itself with this wave. If the thought wave is pleasant, the ego sense feels, I am happy. If the wave is unpleasant, it feels, I am unhappy. This false identification is the cause of all our misery, for even the ego's temporary sensation of happiness brings anxiety, a desire to cling to the object of pleasure, and this prepares future possibilities of becoming unhappy. The real self remains forever outside the power of thought waves. It is eternally pure, enlightened, and free, the only true unchanging happiness. It follows, therefore, that man can never know his true self as long as the thought waves and the ego sense are being identified. So, what does this all mean? To me anyway, it means that we need to understand that we are not our thought waves. We need to find a way to seize control over our minds. If you start to notice a thought wave that you don't like, counteract it with something pleasant. If you can't counteract it, derive a mantra such as I am in control to bring your mind under control and stop identification with that thought wave. It will take some practice before this becomes automatic, but once you learn to disassociate with your mind or thought waves, you stop living life in the backseat of your own mind. You will be able to take back control, stop identification with your ego, this false sense of self, and start to become connected to your higher self. This will mean that you will no longer be at the mercy of external events, situations, or people. You won't be held hostage by your emotions, and you will be able to experience true, unchanging happiness that is always present and not dependent upon any particular thing. And I don't know about you guys, but that sounds pretty darn fantastic to me. Well, that's it for week 2, guys. I hope you all enjoyed the session today. Tune in again next week to uncover how your hidden tendencies may be impacting your life. As always, I hope you have a magical week, and thank you guys so much.